can you hear the word Genovia without singing the national anthem? I can't, and I find that to be quite wonderful and also very irritating at the same time. I love the Princess Diaries films, and Princess Diaries 2 is actually really beautiful. I know sequels are often not as good as the first film, and yeah, I mean, to a degree, I think the first one's quite a lot better, but this is lovely in its own way. This was released in 2004. Cannot believe it was that long ago. Directed by Gary Marshall, and based, of course, on the stories by Meg Cabot, and stars the fabulous Anne Hathaway as Mia Thermopolis, and Julie Andrews as Queen Clarisse Renaldi, her grandmother. And now things are a little bit different to what they were like in the first film, because Mia is very much planted in Genovia and living her life as a princess. But now she's approaching the concept of an arranged marriage to an English gentleman. And, obviously that's going to bring with it a lot of nerves. Does she want to go through with this arranged marriage? Is there somebody else she'd rather be marrying? Very interesting. I didn't actually know which route this was going to take, and whether or not everything would go to plan. Obviously, I didn't expect things to go that smoothly. But it is quite fun. It's a really fun film. It's very sparkly. When she's trying on gowns and they're discussing crystal for the wedding or whatever. I don't know if they ever discussed crystal. It was the first thing that came into my head. But that they're planning the wedding, and it's obviously very elaborate and expensive. And I still get the impression that even though Mia is now kind of used to being this princess, a lot of her heart is still back in her own life, which is completely understandable. And the concept of an arranged marriage would just be incomprehensible to her old self. And I think her character development here is really lovely. I really enjoyed watching her blossom and to see what her life is like now. And for the most part, she does still feel like Mia. She still feels like the same person. But there are elements of her personality that have changed, that have adapted. In some ways, you could say she's improved herself, at least, culturally. But Mia will always be an absolutely brilliant character. I think Julie Andrews is fabulous, and she has an amazing on-screen chemistry with Anne Hathaway. I just think that pairing is absolutely perfect. Some gorgeous set designs here, some beautiful, seriously beautiful costumes. They are absolutely stunning. Costume design is by Gary Jones, who's done quite a lot of great films, actually. He did the costume for things like Oz the Great and the Powerful, which I love. Definitely Maybe All About Steve, which I know a lot of people are not fans of. But personally, I absolutely adore it. This film really is beautiful. If you've seen the film, when you were younger and you just want a nostalgia trip, I promise it will still live up to the memory you have of this film as a child. I was 12 when it came out, I believe. I can't remember if I actually saw it when it first came out. I'm not 100% confident. I know I didn't see it in the cinema, so it's probably unlikely. I probably waited for the VHS to be available in Blockbuster, because that's how I got my kicks back in the day. If you've never seen it, definitely watch it. I think it's certainly The Princess Diaries, the first film, is a film that everybody of any age needs to see before they die. It's a classic that will always be a classic, and there's a reason why it's so well loved. The sequel, not so much, but it's still absolutely fantastic, and one that I would say is worth checking out if you've seen the first film, but not before, as I think it will spoil some of the character development. Honestly, A Royal Engagement may not be the best film ever. It may not be as good as the first film, but I can't really fault it. There's nothing specific about it that I would change. There's nothing that I would do differently. It's honestly a really worthy sequel. A great way to take a trip down memory lane, and a film that I would happily watch many times over.